Hi and welcome to All Things Marvelous. I'm John Paul and today we're going to be revisiting a glass abstract geometry technique that I did a few videos ago, but this time I'm going to show you how to do it using different shapes rather than the standard volume cube. It's pretty similar to the last video I did on this, but with a slight tweak using a boolean to cut out the shape that you want. So we're going to run through the same technique again from the start, and then I'm going to show you how to use it to cut out the object you want, which could be text or a sphere or anything like that. I'm not going to show you how to do the shader or the animation, that's in another video, but I'll put links to those videos in the description. So with that all said, let's get into it. First, let's go into the Geometry Nodes window and add a new Geometry Node to the cube. Delete the connection, which will delete the cube, and add a Volume Cube node. Connect the volume to the geometry and change the minimum to -1.5 and the maximum to 1.5. Then add a Musgrave texture and a Voronoi texture. Change the scale to 3 on the Voronoi, change the Musgrave to 4D, and the scale on the Musgrave to 0.650 with a dimension of 4.2. Hi, Future John Paul here. I totally forgot, with the new Blender 4.1 they've actually removed the Musgrave texture. So what you need to do is you need to replace it with a noise texture instead. If you use the settings 4D and FBM with a scale of 0.680, a detail of 1 and the roughness of 0.053 with a luminarity of 2. Everything else will work just the same. Okay, back to the tutorial. Now connect the height of the Musgrave to the vector of the Voronoi, add in a color ramp and connect the distance of the Voronoi to the factor of the color ramp, and then the color of the color ramp to the density of the volume cube, and drag up the bottom of the black marker about halfway. We need a vector math node and a position node and a vector value node. Connect the position and the vector value into an add vector math node, and then the vector of the vector math into the vector of the Musgrave texture. This will allow you to animate it later down the line. So from here we need to add a volume to mesh, which will allow us to actually see what we're working with, and a set shade smooth node, which should make it look pretty. Now if we take the group input and connect all of the resolutions into the socket below geometry, this will give us an input number on the right hand side in the modifier section to be able to easily change the resolution, but be careful with this as it will really slow down the computer if you put it anything above 32. From here I'm going to show you a couple of different versions of how to do this. First up, I'll show you what it's like to actually change the geometry input in the geometry node. So to do that, we're going to connect the geometry and you'll see that the square comes back. Go into edit mode and add a sphere. Move this off to one side and then delete the cube. Then you can select this again and move it back to the center. What you need to do now is make sure that the sphere is smaller than the volume cube that you've set. You can do this by staying in edit mode, then connecting the cube, and you'll see that you can see the outline of the sphere within the cube. From here we need to use a boolean set to intersect to take away the shape of the sphere and cut it out of the volume cube. So to do that we need to add a mesh boolean and change it to intersect, and then connect the geometry, then the output of the volume to mesh, then take that and put it into the set shade smooth, and voila, you can see that it's cutting the sphere out of the mesh. Now from this moment forward, if you try to change the resolution, anything above 32 is going to really slow down the computer. And what I mean by that is every time Blender tries to calculate it, it could take up to 4 or 5 minutes just to show you what it's going to look like. This is normal and it's just the way the Blender works things out, but you will be able to get the final result you're after. Another way to do this is you can add an icosphere from within the geometry node setup itself. I just have one here subdivided by 5 times with a radius of 1.2, and then I use that to cut out the boolean, and as you can see it works just the same. Next I'm going to show you how to do it using text. So I add a text object and I'll choose the letter A. Then I add a solidify and position it where I'd like to see it within the cube. I have to do a few things though. I have to change the geometry's origin so that it's in the center of the text, and then I can simply add the geometry node setup that I previously made. I have to make sure also that I convert it to a mesh and that it doesn't have any modifiers on it. Now when I connect the geometry into the intersect boolean, you'll see that it cuts out the letter A. This will take a while to compute, so don't be scared if it takes 3 or 4 minutes to actually do the initial cutting. You can always use the color ramp to fix the final makeup of the geometry as well. Lastly, I add a set material node, and this will help you add all the shaders that you like, including something like the new glass shader that I show you on my previous video. So hopefully this expands on the previous video's technique, and I hope it's helpful. A few people in my last video commented that they wanted to know how to do it using different shapes, so I thought I'd show you by making a quick video. Bye for now, and I'll catch you on the next one.